first question then right out of the box. On your YouTube account, I noticed you've got a whole lot of superhero short films on there. So I cannot help but ask, if you had to pick one, who's your favorite superhero and why?
Oh man. All right. To say I have a lot of superhero shorts on my channel is an understatement, a drastic understatement. But I'm probably going to have to go with the Blue Beetle. He was my first, I think, superhero fan film I really did. And Ted Kord specifically, the second Blue Beetle, he's my favorite. He's basically like the John McClane of superheroes. He's got, you know, the brains of Spider-Man, but the wealth of Batman. But he has that, in over his head vibe that I really appreciate. And, he likes to crack one-liners. And if Bruce Willis had to play a superhero in the 1980s, it would have been Blue Beetle.
And how do you feel about Booster Gold? A little bit of dorky deep dive there.
He's fine. I like Booster, but I feel that in many ways, Booster is often written as a hindrance to Blue Beetle because, he's always the outlandish one. Ted Kord is, the straight guy to a lot of the jokes. And I feel that that dynamic in the wrong hands can get stale really fast. So, like, for example, everyone's like, oh my God, Zach Braff and Don Faison as, Blue Beetle and Booster. I'm like, no, not at all. That's not it. No, Blue Beetle is, the guy is at least handsome. I'm not a Zach Braff fan to the point where I'm like, yeah, put him in that outfit. That's a big no-no. Get someone who at least has some sex appeal, some charm. And I'm sorry if Zach Braff is watching this, but like, as far as I'm concerned, you're still JD, and JD is not a superhero, So and for Booster, you really need to have someone who has that shit-eating grin, the one who has like all of his teeth bleached because he gets Colgate. And yeah, Don Faison is he doesn't have that game show host smile.
I got you.
Funny guy, great actor, doesn't have that thing. And that's what you really need for a Booster. So like I would go with someone for like, Matt Bowman would make either a good Ted Kord or a good Booster depending on what he does with his hair. Like you need somebody in that kind of level to play those types of characters. I heard they're getting Jason Sudeikis to play Ted Kord in the Blue Beetle movie. I'm okay with that, but it's not like something I'm 100% going to sign off. Yeah. Paul Rudd and Matt Bomer, those two would be a good Ted Kord and Booster Gold, however you split it.
Paul Rudd's kind of committed to another bug superhero, though.
I know, but you need James Marsden and Matt Bomer. Yeah. I'm okay with that too. You need someone who just has that feeling about them, And so that is that's that. I'm not going any further.
Okay.
I've said too much.
Fair enough. Next thing I'm curious about, again, talking about your fan films, because I actually discovered you, I've lost track how long ago it's been, but through a little project you did called The Nightmare Ends on Halloween.
That is 18 years old this summer.
So I might have discovered it when you first did it. So telling on my age there.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I got the grays going on over here. I mean, for Christ's sake, that movie is going to be old enough to vote in August.
That's a scary thought.
It is scary. Okay, so the genesis for that one came from multiple facets. The first being in 2003, I saw the fan film Batman Dead End, which many people saw. That was probably most people's first introduction to the concept of a fan film. And I saw that at DragonCon, and I was like, wow, that's a really cool idea. He's got Batman and Predator and Xenomorphs. And it's like, wow, Hollywood would never be able to pull that off. And that stuck with me. And then when I wanted to get into filmmaking, I said, I should do something that Hollywood could never do. And I know for a fact, getting all of those characters in one room is never going to happen. There's too many egos and legal people involved that are going to just ruin everything. So I don't know how it happened, but somewhere along the way, I received an email from this guy who was like, if you ever need someone to play Freddy Krueger, I'm available. And I had already written the or had the idea for the Nightmares on Halloween. I go, well, I have this idea. And he's like, can I do it? And I'm like, I mean, okay. So I just basically scripted the whole thing. He came up from the South because he lived in like the Carolinas, and I was in New Jersey at the time. And we basically just made that thing in 3 or 4 days in August in New Jersey, and on home video camera, no less. Home video, folks. And that was basically, the end of it. That got people to notice me, and that became my calling card for a while, and still is to this day.
It brings up, I think, an important question. If it came down to a one-on-one battle, like who gets the upper hand, Freddy Krueger or Pinhead?
Pinhead. It's clearly obvious that Pinhead, through in all of his movies, he is in part 4. He goes, he is the general of hell. He's the warden of hell. If Freddy Krueger has dream demon powers from hell, well, who the hell outranks a dream demon? The guy who's running hell. So Pinhead would win hands down, just because he clearly outranks him.
Yeah, I'm inclined to think that even if he lost, Freddy would hold his own on this one
In a
because
physical match, obviously Freddy could
yeah,
hold his own, but in terms of power, who's the most powerful? It's Pinhead.
yeah, but
He tears souls apart for a living.
it's
So
true. That's true.
yeah,
But Freddy does it for fun.
no,
So
no, Freddy doesn't tear souls apart. Freddy just kills people. Their souls still exist post mortem.
well,
Um, that's what I'm saying.
yeah, that's fair enough.
Pinhead will end your ethereal existence.
Yeah,
Like I said, the guy runs hell.
but
Freddy is from hell with powers that originate from hell, but Pinhead runs the joint.
this, of course,
So
depends on which version of Pinhead we're going with. Pinhead 1 and 2, Pinhead parts 3, 4, or like, because at the
I
beginning there
look
were
at it
just
like, I think 4 is a perfect ending to the series. Anything past 4 is kind of dumb at this point, but 4 really jacked him up and showed exactly how powerful he was when he's just like, I run hell. I'm like, I believe
yeah,
you.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. It's cool to talk to somebody else who enjoyed part 4 because that one's sort of like the redheaded stepchild of the series.
No, 4 is way better than 3, and it's way better than 5, and it's way better than 7 and 8. 6 was the only one that was mediocre at best.
It was mediocre is a good word. Yeah,
It's
that's Hellseeker, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2, 4, 6 in that order, and everything else is just crap. 5 was a mess. 7 was trash. 8, I didn't even bother. 8, 9, or 10. I don't know what they're at now, but
I'll
garbage.
I'll defend 3 to at least it's crap that's kind of fun. The others
3
were
is
just
fun.
crap
3 is a
that
guilty
wasn't
pleasure
fun.
watch. It's a guilty
Yeah.
pleasure watch, which is why I'm okay with it. And it had Lemmy Kilmister playing chess with Pinhead. Again, okay with it.
Yeah,
But
it's okay, but
in terms of it being a good Hellraiser movie, it wasn't. It's just a fun early 90s movie and a gimmicky 90s movie that just went over the top. I mean, there's a guy throwing CDs out of his face. Like,
yeah. I'm not going to defend it, but I enjoyed it. It's one of those. It's like I
it's
know this is
fun.
terrible, but I
It's a
love it.
fun movie, but it's not a quality Hellraiser movie, is what I'm
Not at
saying.
all. Not
Yeah.
at all. You're right. I still think though, if somebody put Freddy and Pinhead against one another, you could come up with a concept where Freddy, if he doesn't out and out win, he sort of like inadvertently saves the day for the good guys in the story because Freddy would be the underdog and i.e. the sort of reluctant hero of the story. I don't know. I think there's some fun stuff there as opposed to like Freddy and Jason, which I enjoyed, but it's just Freddy making his quips and then Jason just breathing heavy. Whereas you got Pinhead, I think you can have some real fun dialogue between those two,
The only
bickering back and
logical
forth.
story that would work would be, like I said, with Nightmares on Halloween, where Freddy's trying to escape hell after, losing once more. And you have to make it a great escape movie. It's Freddy trying to get out of hell, essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
There's your
But
story.
I'd be there for it though.
Yeah.
I'd
Pinhead
watch
is a
that.
giant loan shark, essentially.
Yes. Well, getting back to like your personal project, Random Acts of Violence. One of the stories you told that I love was about this truck. The that story was awesome. So I have to
Yeah.
know more about this truck. Where did you guys get this thing?
Craigslist.
Craigslist. Okay.
I believe so. Our stunt coordinator for the movie was going around, and either he found it on Craigslist or he was just driving and someone had a sign for it. But Yeah, it was just this red Ford 150, and that thing looks like a walking chimney stack. It's loud. It smells of gasoline, and it's just you sit in it, you get nauseous, and you know the joke is this truck looks like it's gonna murder you, and then when it's like, all right, let's go. Vroom. Okay, wait. Hang on, it's almost ready. So we're just ready to kill this thing. But again, it looks amazing when it's moving, when it's going, but it's not a reliable engine. But yeah, upon killing it, it just didn't die and it got better. It's like the tagline for Crank 2, he died but he got better.
Yeah, speaking of films that shouldn't have been made.
I will give Crank 2 a pass. That was an amazing piece of crap, and I loved the tagline. Sold me instantly. He died but he got better. I'm like, I'm in. I
Fair
don't know
enough.
what this movie is about, but he got better. So, okay, I'll take it.
I really can't sit in any place of judgment. I enjoy Jason X, so
I do too. I saw that
yeah.
shit in theaters. I love Jason X only because, again, it was so over the top and silly. I was able to go with it. And I heard, did you hear the David Cronenberg story about that?
Remind me.
So Cronenberg agreed. The director was going to use Cronenberg's people to do the special effects because he was friends with him and he wanted to do all practical. And Cronenberg's like, fine, but I have one condition. I want to be in it. He goes, okay, cool. So he says, but I have one other condition. He goes, what? He goes, I want to rewrite all my lines. So one of the ADs calls up Todd Farmer and says, hey, just so you know, David Cronenberg is like rewriting all of his characters' lines. He goes, so I'm going to get the credit for it. Good.
I've heard parts of that story. Then yeah, because I remember in the commentary he has the line like that. There's a line where someone says, "I want him soft." And
Yeah, I
someone
want
said,
him.
"Yeah,
That
that's
was
a
Cronenberg's
Cronenberg
line.
line." Yeah,
He's like, I don't want him cold. I want him soft.
yeah, yeah. I love everything about that movie. One scene in that I think nobody really talks about. They don't talk about Kane Hodder's expressivisms enough as Jason. Like we know all about his movements, which are spectacular when you really compare to all the previous ones. But there's a shot in there where all you see is his eye looking at the guard watching him, and you can tell he looks over at him and scowls, and you can tell all of that just through the movement of that one eye beneath that mask. And
Oh, I absolutely agree.
I thought that was astounding. Like that's spectacular acting right there.
It is spectacular acting. Another one I'll give him credit for is once he became Uber Jason, he got more expressive because now he had two eyes to work with. And I remember when the android just shoots him and nothing happens. He just looks down. He looks up. He's just like, bulletproof, motherfucker. And it was just that look on his face where it was like a bit of, I wasn't expecting that. And, oh, yeah, now you're dead.
Yeah. You could tell I feel like he had a lot of fun in
Definitely.
that film. More fun than any of the other ones, I think.
Absolutely. And that was, his last ride as Jason, unfortunately. But it's a good way to go, in my opinion. I think Jason X was a good capper to the series as a whole. I didn't think we needed anything else, but we got Freddy versus Jason afterwards, and I was all right with that too. And I was like, all right, let's just leave it. Stop. Don't go any further, guys.
I would have liked Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, though. I'm not going to lie.
I absolutely would have as well. I do feel that, unfortunately, studio heads are not capable of coming together. Sam Raimi was very open about trying. And they're like, well, you can't have him kill Freddy and Jason. He's like, why not? He's a hero. The hero is supposed to kill the bad guys. This is not rocket science. And they're still being, very protective over their characters. And it's those kinds of problems that just kill all forms of hope and imagination.
It's unfortunate, but yeah. What could have been? We did get some good comics out of it, though.
We did. I read those. Those are fine. I considered putting Ash, but I never was able to find a good enough Ash guy, and by the time I stumbled across a decent Ash guy, I was already over it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you do seem to have a soft spot for slasher films. Got quite a bit of those in your repertoire. Is there any other person? Yeah, there you go. Is there any other era of horror though that you enjoy as much or almost as much?
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of German Expressionism. Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is a great
Mhm.
movie. Nosferatu, and I love like Psycho. Like I like noir, so I like introducing those elements to a lot of my films. I did a silent slasher movie actually back in 2018. It was a full-on silent movie with card captions and whatnot, and we shot it very noir, including the lighting and the acting. I put the flickering effect on the footage to make it feel older. And I like the noir of like, a Hitchcock film where you have that slow burn with slow moving cameras, dramatic lighting, and everyone just looks like they're in a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
So those are definitely some of my favorites. Um, I tried introducing a lot of the German Expressionism style into one of my original series is called Haunted City, which is about a vigilante ghost. That's on my channel. And I really like the idea of just like that atmospheric, like, slow shots down the corridors using silhouettes and light and darkness and everything. And just, not so much jump scares because I hate jump scares, but using sound to mess with people.
I got that. Yeah, jump scares to me should almost be a last resort. Like
No,
when you have nothing
I'm
left.
never going to use a jump scare because I think they're stupid. And I feel that if I'm going to use a jump scare, I want the audience to be in on it, that they know the jump scare is coming, but the character doesn't. It's the character. They're waiting to see the character's reaction as opposed to they themselves being scared.
Yeah, that's an interesting play on it. I'd be down with that.
It's
Be good.
fun.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, that's everything I had. Is there anything else about random acts of violence you want to make sure and put out there?
Well, let's see. Random Acts of Violence is basically going to be, an action horror hybrid. That's the way I've been pitching it to people, and that's the way I'm trying to sell the movie. I really want to go into that concept of if it were me, if those guys came to my house, this is what I would do. And then you watch the movie and you see the characters do the thing that you thought you would do, and you're like, yeah, that's right, they're doing it. Yeah, yeah, you know. Um, I feel that hasn't really been seen in a lot of horror movies. The horror characters or the victims and the main characters always end up making the dumbest decisions ever. It's to the point of parody where you get movies like Cabin in the Woods. It's like, we should stay together. I think we should split up, Scooby-Doo, let's just split up and look for clues. When has that ever worked for us, Fred? Like, no, stick together. There's a murderer out there. So I really like the idea of just playing against those tropes without being meta like Scream. This isn't one of those things where it's tongue-in-cheek and someone's like, oh my god, this is like a bad horror movie. No, it's not like that. It's just, if this happens to you, what do you do? And that's where I'm at with Random Acts of Violence, basically.